So much of fighting fraud comes down to knowing who you're up against. For risk management teams, it's all about knowing the fraudsters acting against you. But to know your fraudster, you need to know your customers. After all, the majority of fraudsters and money launderers engage with your platform under the guise of being a true customer. In our Fraud Fighters manual, we covered the 7 fraudster archetypes: the thief, the con artist, the disguise artist, the impersonator, the opportunist, the shady business, and organized criminals. And while these archetypes are extremely useful for categorizing behavior, in practice, fraudsters don't always fit nicely and neatly into roles. Fraudulent behavior varies from industry to industry, company to company, and product to product. Different threats pose different risks and require different strategies for defense. But some fraudulent behavior transcends fraudster archetypes. For example, no matter the archetype, the following 3 things are important to keep in mind when combating fraud. 1. Fraudsters are masters of deceit. All fraudsters are in some way deceitful, lying about their personal information, their intentions, or even their entire identity. Sure, the imposter, the con artist, and the disguise artist are known liars, but so are the thief, the shady business, organized criminals, and even the opportunist. 2. Fraud is almost always premeditated. Most fraudsters plan out their crime at least partially beforehand, and fraud is rarely entirely impulsive. Even the thief and the opportunist, who are more likely to act impulsively, can plan out their crimes before they act. 3. Understanding their best offense is your best defense. When it comes to preventing fraud, the angle of attack is often most important, as it gives risk teams a means of devising prevention efforts. It's valuable to know what types of fraud are likely to be attempted by the imposter because it gives risk teams an idea of how that criminal will attempt to commit their crime. This is all well and good, but conflict often arises when we try to actually implement identity verification checks in practice. The crux is that all fraud prevention tools add friction to the customer experience, which is the last thing product developers and executives want. Risk teams are often stuck in the middle, balancing adequate checks while trying to avoid bogging users down. But teams have been looking at this all wrong. When applied properly and precisely, friction is your friend. The goal shouldn't be to avoid applying any friction, but to apply the proper amount of friction in the right places. With the right identity verification and customer authentication checks in place, you'll hinder fraudsters and ensure you always know your customer.